My wife passed away unexpectedly just before last Thanksgiving, and it has left me feeling somewhat broken. To make matters worse, my stepkids have decided that since I'm not their father, they no longer have to obey me. They're teens, and they've never been particularly fond of me. They have a strong bond with their dad, and I was simply their mom's husband. However, when my wife was alive, they treated our home well and showed me respect. But after her death, their behavior took a turn for the worse. I understand that losing their mom was devastating for them, but she was my wife and the mother of my children. I've tried my best to support them. I've offered counseling, given them space, and been there for them. Yet, I'm constantly criticized by their paternal grandparents for not being more understanding of their situation. The breaking point came during a recent visit to their grandparents' house for dinner. When it was time to leave, my stepkids refused to come with me and suggested I leave them behind and return later. With two young children to care for and a 2-hour drive ahead, I couldn't agree to that. Despite my objections, their grandparents accused me of being too harsh and insisted I let them stay. Feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, I made a decision. I packed up their belongings and dropped them off at their grandparents' house. My priority is taking care of my two preschool-aged kids, and I simply don't have the time or energy to deal with the challenges posed by two rebellious teenagers. It's worth noting that their dad doesn't contribute financially or play an active role in their lives. He works at a FIFO camp and has no permanent residence, and he doesn't even pay child support. Meanwhile, my in-laws are quick to criticize me for abandoning the kids, but I have to prioritize the well-being of my own children. So, am I the idiot for deciding that my stepkids are no longer my responsibility? Considering the circumstances, I don't believe I am. If what you say is true and you've done everything within your power to help them grieve and transition going forward without their mom, then what else can you do? If their father wasn't willing to step up right away, then that says a lot about the dad and the in-laws, in my opinion. Wash your hands of that family, as they will only try to harm you going forward. Their father has no permanent home. Well, he needs to step up and get that changed. It sucks for him, but not really OP's problem. The father even said OP must not parent them, but at the same time doesn't want to step up. His ego doesn't want to be hurt by having someone else be a good father, so OP can be an unpaid babysitter and nanny, and a wallet to boot. Heck no. The life of a step-parent: you provide, babysit, drive around, clean, and cook, but heaven forbid you want to have a say in anything or parent the stepchild. OP is not the idiot to drop them off. Why are they in his house if he's not to be their parent? If OP has no parental rights with the teens, then he has zero parental responsibility, and arrangements should have been made within a month of their mom dying to get the kids out of OP's house. It's abundantly clear OP is only tolerated as a resource rather than as a grieving person. Dude, you did nothing wrong. Don't let these people make your life more miserable than it is. Stay strong and focused on what is best for you and your children. I have a daughter, Brooke, from a previous relationship. Unfortunately, my wife passed a few days after Brooke was born due to complications from the emergency C-section. I've always wanted Brooke to have a woman in her life, so my sister has always helped. She's the closest thing Brooke has to her mom. 3 years ago, my sister moved about 6 hours away from us. Since then, she's been flying Brooke out at least one weekend a month and getting her on school breaks. Brooke loves visiting her aunt and views her house as a second home. It helps that Brooke has a room there now. I'm engaged to Kelly, and Kelly has 3 other kids: Olivia, Maddie, and Luca. Kelly's kids have always been jealous of Brooke getting to visit her aunt because of all the fun stuff they do together. They have passes to Disneyland and Universal Studios, and my sister lives on the beach, so they're always there. They go shopping, hiking, and horseback riding. She even taught Brooke how to surf last summer. I've asked Brooke to only talk about it in private, but tensions are rising between her and her step-siblings. So, she's been rubbing it in to make them angry. Now, my stepkids want to go with Brooke to visit my sister, but I'm saying no. My sister is basically Brooke's mom, but they have both a mom and a dad. Plus, I don't think my sister would like to have 3 extra kids in her house every time she wants to see the kid she helped raise. Kelly and her kids are saying this is unfair and favoritism, and that if Brooke gets to go, so should they. But Brooke doesn't want to let them go and says that if I try to make her take them with her, she'll move in with her aunt and won't come back. Am I the idiot for not sending my stepkids with Brooke to visit my sister? Ask Kelly if it's fair your daughter has lost her mother and her kids still have theirs. No. Your sister is already an angel for everything she did for you and your daughter. Don't let your fiancée destroy everything because she's selfish. Does she treat your daughter the same as her kids? Does the kid's father bring gifts and treat her the same as his child? I doubt it. Don't be a doormat. Your daughter has already suffered a lot. She does not need Cinderella's stepmother at home. You're engaged to a woman your children don't get along with, and your fiancé is trying to involve her kids in your daughter's life. You know it's possible to be a couple living separately with each of your families. If you value your relationship with your daughter, or do you have to blend and make one big happy family? Why can't you two wait until the kids are out of the house and then decide to be together? Yeah, I don't get these relationships at all. It's already a disaster. You are the idiot for letting your fiancée support her children in this entitled and unreasonable demand. You should set very clear boundaries with her, including that she makes it very clear to her children that they will not go on these trips or are entitled to. If she doesn't agree, stop the wedding. My wife and I are having our first kid soon, and we know it's going to be a boy. It's been hard to agree on names. She's steadfast in picking a name that we both agree on, but we pretty much have opposite tastes. I have a very, very basic and common first name, which I like, so I gravitate towards simple and classic names like James, William, and Daniel. She likes not that. She suggested the name Dean the other day, and I was considering it until I found out she picked it because it was the name of her teen TV crush. She dug in her heels and insisted that she just liked the name and wasn't going to name her kid after the character, and watching an old episode of the show reminded her of the name. I'm like, that is exactly what naming your kid after a TV character means. So I said, how about this? I will give you a preemptive blanket veto on TV show names. I want to avoid hearing suggestions of a little Zuko or Sherlock or anything like that, and any other name is on the table. Is that fair? And she said no, that is not fair. And I'm being an idiot and putting words in her mouth. My position is that if you try to pick a TV name for your kid, at least own up to it and admit it's a TV name. I'm more annoyed at the transparent denial at this point than the fact that she suggested it in the first place. Am I the idiot for putting a blanket veto on all TV show names for our son? James and his giant peach, William Willy Wonka, and Daniel Danny Turner would all tell you how stupid this idea is, and those are just the first few I thought of off the top of my head. Can you name a name that hasn't been used in TV or movies? Dude, you are the idiot, grow up. Original poster. What really bothers me here is how mean you were to your wife. You act like she's being stupid for distinguishing between being inspired by something and actively naming the kid after that thing, and then laying into her. Dean is such a normal name, and Original Poster was so rude about it, like Original Poster's wife is the one who's supposed to be having weird hormonal swings, not Original Poster. I'd be so embarrassed if I were your Original Poster wife. I mean, if this is how you're acting before the baby's born, good luck. The irony of how childish it is to be fighting and blanket vetoing names from TV, which PS, good luck finding a name that hasn't been used on TV. It's time to put your adult pants on and sit down and talk about it. Look for names together. Plenty of lists are floating around based on themes, meanings, colors, or mythical gods. Unless all of those are blanket veto too. I, 24 female, am very unhappy with the whole situation. My childhood best friend, Libby, 22 female, has a red-tailed black cockatoo named Carrot Cake. She's had him since she was 5, so she's very attached to him. She only went to community college to stay home and be near Carrot Cake. All our mutual friends love Carrot Cake, and so do I. We all used to just hang out at Libby's house mostly when we were kids just to be by Carrot Cake. My boyfriend, Lincoln, 26 male, loves birds. He owned a few small ones. I did tell him about Carrot Cake, and he did get intrigued and interested. He wanted to meet Carrot Cake. We've only been dating for 2 months, and he hasn't met Libby. He's only met a few of my other friends. He did ask questions, so I assumed he was only intrigued and didn't think much of it. Libby did ask me to watch carrot cake as she's visiting her grandparents in another state. I did agree. This wasn't my first time. Libby dropped carrot cake off, and he's been doing great. He's been very loving, very active. I let him fly around. I did invite Lincoln over as he was staying the night. He invited his best friend, Maxon. Both were playing games and doing their own thing. I was napping during the whole thing until I heard loud squawking and wings flapping like crazy. I woke up and walked into my office to see Lincoln trying to grab carrot cake. Maxon was standing there just watching, and it was very obvious that carrot cake was stressed. I scolded both of them and asked why they were in my office bothering carrot cake. Lincoln told me he wanted to hold carrot cake. I told him he's unfamiliar with you or Maxon, so he's scared. Lincoln tried to argue, but I told him to go to the living room. I told Maxon to leave. I made sure carrot cake was okay and put him in his cage, covering it so he could sleep. I locked my office and had the keys in my room with me. I told Lincoln not to go into my office without me. I went back to sleep, asking Lincoln to do the same. I woke up to my boyfriend gone and my keys misplaced. I tried calling him, but he didn't answer. I went to check on carrot cake and saw he wasn't there. I freaked out and just knew Lincoln had him. I called and texted him until he answered. I asked him to tell me he had carrot cake, and he did. I asked why, and he said he wanted to watch carrot cake for a day. I hung up and drove to his house. Once there, I knocked like crazy, telling him to open up. He opened it slightly, but I barged in and got carrot cake. Lincoln was telling me I couldn't barge in, but I walked by him and drove back home. I told Libby about the whole thing, and she was grateful I got carrot cake back safely but also very distraught about the situation. Lincoln and his friend messaged me that I couldn't just barge into someone's house. I feel like I did the right thing, though. Am I the idiot? So, you can't just barge into someone's house, but it's okay for him to take off with someone else's bird? What the heck? Tell him if the messages don't stop, you will report his actions to the police. You did what you had to do. Don't let these idiots make you feel bad about it. Not the idiot, but I hope you mean ex-boyfriend now. I would never trust him again. This is insidious and selfish behavior. He sounds slimy, sneaky, and dumb. You need to run. He probably wanted to sell the poor little guy, considering the breed's price. Though it puts it into felony theft, so he could still be in deep trouble if she'd gotten the cops involved. Sweetie, how many red flags do you need? Lincoln is a low-down, dirty thief, end of story. Seriously. I just Googled the price out of curiosity. That bird is worth up to $40,000, and there is no way he wasn't planning on selling it. If anything, it's underdramatic because what else is stopping him from doing anything else? What else is preventing him from stealing ops social? Her credit card info, logging into her computer and putting in a keylogger or other spyware, putting in hidden cameras, making duplicates of her keys. There is no possible way to understate just how dangerous someone like that can be. I wouldn't trust that man with a handful of sand in the desert. If my sister, who is 20, was cheated on and didn't do anything crazy, I would console her. But she retaliated by stealing the late sister's ashes, who was 21, and flushing them down the toilet. She said so herself, and she was still in tears when telling me and our dad about it. Her dad told her it was okay and that he had it coming. Then he looked at me and mouthed, "Say something." I only shrugged because I didn't know what to say. I never imagined such a situation before. It's such a mess. I literally have no idea what to tell her. I thought about telling her she was worse than the guy, but then I figured out that would only start some shouting. Later that evening, she just said that she would talk to her boyfriend and hear him out since she didn't give him a chance to explain himself after her friend told her she saw him with another girl at the mall. It occurred to her quite late that maybe her friend didn't see what she thought she saw. I didn't know she heard about the cheating from a friend. When my sister got home, she said the guy didn't deny it and told her he was with their mutual friends, so she called her friend. It took some pressing, but it turned out that this friend had a crush on the guy and made it up to break him and my sister up. However, Dad says I had to support her anyway and that I owe it to my sister because she's my flesh and blood. So, I need to know if I'm wrong for not consoling my sister who was cheated on. Darling, you are not the idiot. But if this is true, you should tell her to get a lawyer because she just committed a fairly serious crime. Someone who reacts with this level of crazy over gossip about what a boyfriend might have done without any confirmation is going to have a few trips to prison in the future. What she did is just unacceptable and honestly totally messed up. You're not wrong. You seem to be the only person with a moral compass. Your sister needs counseling to help control her impulses. I don't know what to say except do your best to run away from such people. That is not normal or acceptable human behavior. When you get cheated on, you break up, pick up the pieces, and move on with your life. You don't go on a destructive, vengeful rampage. Your dad should not just enable her bad behavior because she's crying. Also, your dad shouldn't be dumping his parenting duties on you and guilt-tripping you. You have nothing to do with this mess and are too young to be put in the position of fixing your sister's emotional and relationship problems.